of NBA basketball, quite literally, where there's no precedent for a GM and a coach getting fired with 3 games left in the season. Well, there literally is no precedent. And last night was the first look at the new look Nuggets, and they go out and get a W against Sacramento in Sacramento, 124-116.
Dominant fashion. The score doesn't seem like it was dominant, but I believe it was dominant, man. They were rebounded. They out-rebounded the Kings. They shot well from the three-point line. So they did some good things yesterday, Zach, after going through a traumatic experience by losing both general manager and head coach.
Yep. So they get that done. I expected that to be the case. Put some money on it and won. They won and covered. All right, it was about a 4.5 point
Look
spread.
at you, man. You're just winning left and right.
But I said that on the air yesterday.
You did.
I said they win and cover tonight because that's just the natural order of things. Your whole ecosystem was just shaken, and when a big storm is coming into a region, the animals, they fight or flight. They fight or flight. This is a big storm with the Denver Nuggets.
Well, they woke a beast. They woken a beast, Zach. That's what Jokic's words were. They woken up a beast.
Yeah, that's what he said. This is what he told Katie George after the game.
I mean, they woke us up. It was we need to be woken before the playoffs, and I think when if we're in there, we can mess things up. We can fight and play with everybody.
Josh Kroenke called a team meeting yesterday. What was your reaction to the changes that he made?
I mean, it's. I think when I'm coming from, it's part of the sport. People go and come and go, but it was a 10 years relationship with the coach, and we went through everything. We were bad, we were good. We won a championship. Definitely, we have some great memories, but it's part of the business, I would say.
How do you think the team has handled what I'm sure has been a wild 48 hours?
I think they got. Josh got the response that he won. People say that we are vulnerable, but I think the beast is always the strongest or the most dangerous when they're vulnerable. So maybe he woke up the beast.
Maybe he woke up the beast. And that's the best case scenario here, is that this group can just bind together, their backs against the wall with a fight or flight mentality. And if they can find a way to channel all this stuff into playing hard, and it was like it was almost I want to say shocking, but that's laughable. The harder they played last night, the better their defensive execution was.
Yeah, shocker.
Shocker.
Have some effort, right? Defense is all about effort and communicating. They did that well last night. They communicated. They played with effort. They had each other's back. If there was a guy that was out of place, there was somebody else to help out. It was good basketball being played last night.
Yeah. Do you think Michael Malone watched the game?
Oh, Zach. I sat there thinking the same thing you just asked. I think so, yeah. Because deep down inside, he wants them to fail now. Like, why would you not? Like I don't want you guys to win, because if you guys win, now everybody's going to think it was because of me that we were losing. So he wanted to see this game for what it is. He wanted it to be a failure so that he could say, it wasn't just on me. And maybe Calvin Booth was the same way. I believe he watched that game. Why would he not?
My guess, and it's a total guess, is that he didn't watch.
All right.
And it is unplugging, probably poured some of the stiffest cocktails of all time, and is hunkering down with his family. That would be my guess. That'd be my guess. But of course, there's the morbid part about us as humans.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reason why one lane of traffic will slow down even if there's not an accident, because the other lane on the other side of the road has an accident and everyone wants to look at it.
Everybody's nosy.
Right?
They want to know what's going on.
So there's a morbid curiosity maybe that Michael Malone had. No way of knowing. And if he was pulling against the Nuggets, I wouldn't even hold that against Michael Malone. That is complete human nature. This guy's been the best coach in team's history. He got fired with 3 games left.
Yeah.
If he wanted them to lose last night, seriously, in my opinion, that's actually normal.
It's human nature, right? It's like it's not that Michael Malone wants Jokic them to do bad. He just doesn't want to be the reason why he got fired, right? There's a bunch of questions out there. You win your first game, and now you're looking at it like, okay, people are going to come at me saying it was me, and that's not the case. Would you watch the game if you just got fired?
No,
No?
probably not. I would like force myself not to watch it because at that point you're just like wallowing in it. Like that team owes me $25 million. Like I won a championship with that team. I feel like I was just done dirty. I am not going to continue to spend time watching a product that I helped craft. So honestly, screw those guys that fired me.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not watching. Make sure my money is in my account.
Every Friday, make sure it's in there.
And I need to decompress. I need to get away from this thing. I've been so close to this thing for a decade. I need to get away. How about you? Do you think you would watch?
Yeah, I think that I would start by watching it just to see what's going on. And then as they started to win, I probably would have turned it off. Like, let's be real. Because now it's going to make you mad and upset. Because now you're sitting there saying, damn, was I really the reason? Maybe that creeps into your mind because you are a human being.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they can play hard now. They can play better defense. Like, why couldn't they have done that with me this whole entire time?
Okay, so David Adelman, what was your first impressions of David Adelman?
You know what, Zach? He did a great job of stepping back and let the players play and let the players kind of coach. But also, he's been around. People, it's a familiar face. It's not like David Adelman hasn't been a part of this and hasn't been vocal.
It's not like a real true first impression.
No. And so I think that he did a great job of knowing his role, playing the best part he could in it, and then taking a step back and letting Jokic talk, letting Aaron Gordon talk. You know, let the players play and also coach at the same time, and then step in when you need to. So I was actually impressed of what he did. I was impressed with his pregame podium speech they was talking about, and they had a goal, and the goal was to go out there, get a win. Nothing changes, but a couple of faces that you're not seeing anymore, but we still need a win because we all have a job to do, and if we don't do our job, none of us will have a job.
Here's a little bit of David Adelman last night.
We were trying to give them a little more leeway to let them communicate and talk first. So now that doesn't always go well, but it did tonight. And I talked about it before the game, but you have to be okay with criticism from your teammates. These are your brothers. Like, you guys are going through this journey together. You know, they're not being personal with you. They're trying to accomplish a goal for that night. So if we can do that and it can be a positive going forward, that really helps when things get tough, them relying on one another, because then that bleeds onto the court and the communication gets better. You go from the timeout to the court, that's where you really see good things. So, yeah, there was a bunch of examples. Aaron was great. CB, unfortunately, I have him breaking the huddle now. I guess that's his new thing. I'm not sure if he's comfortable with it, but he stepped up, so that's his role now.
It feels like when a new coach comes in and is emphasizing communication, that must have been an issue in his mind previously.
No doubt. And for David Edelman, Zach, he's sitting there watching these players throughout the game this whole entire season. So he's seeing the communication or the lack of the communication that's out there. And maybe that's why he was like, hey, guys, I am going to let you guys talk. I am going to let you guys communicate, criticize each other, and it's okay because this is something that we've been doing or you guys have been doing, and there's been a lot of pushback from, my guessing, some of the young players.
Sure.
Like the Peyton Watson, when Aaron Gordon's going up to Peyton Watson against the Pacers to tell him something, and it looks like Peyton Watson's talking back to him. So, and that's why he made that comment, like sometimes
it's not personal.
Exactly. It's not personal.
Yeah, no, I had that same takeaway as well. Couple things here. One of the most tangible, like measurable differences game over game is Russell Westbrook's minutes just got sliced.
Yeah.
17 minutes. All right, that's the least amount of minutes he's played since 3 weeks before Christmas. All right. And by the way, Michael Malone was already trending in this direction as well.
He was. Jalen Pickett was starting games.
Yes, and that was Michael Malone's decision. So I've heard some conversations like, well, if Malone was coaching last night, Westbrook would have been starting. No, he had already pivoted. But now this is even more drastic. It feels like Malone started to adhere to what the team vibe was anyway, and then Adelman took it to another level of like, okay, you were like half in, half out. Like, no. Oh, you're not having a good night. It's the fourth quarter. I'm pulling you. And I don't know how this is going to go from a human
well, he had
standpoint.
some backing, but you know what? He was able to pull him because he had some backing because of what Jalen Pickett was doing.
Sure.
5 3-pointers made,
Speaks for itself.
1 turnover.
Speaks for itself.
So if someone like Westbrook wanted to push back on it, it's like, dude, look what's out there. Are you a team player? All right, like we are winning the game and Jalen Pickett is doing well. Why would we put you back out there? So he kind of has that backing of saying, this is why you're not going back out there. Now, if Jalen Pickett was doing bad, then you could kind of have that question, and Russ may have had some pushback of like, why am I not out there if Jalen Pickett's not doing well? Like, I feel like it's going to be one of these thin lines, Zach, that they're going to have to play with.
And it might be night to night.
Yeah.
It might be night to night of like, and that's the opposite of Malone. Malone's going to do what Malone's going to do.
Yeah.
And he's got his rhythm and rotations. But Adelman might be, guess what? No, I'm pliable. This is not your night. Therefore, Jalen Pickett is going to play 31 minutes and you're going to play 17. By the way, Westbrook still led the team in turnovers, playing less than 20 minutes. And it just...
He did.
It is what it is. Couple things here. Couple things. Did you see, and I know you did. Did you see the Michael Porter Jr. post-game interview?
I did.
In the locker room.
I did see it, Zach.
There was something that happened in that interview that I think is, like, I'm putting it in my back pocket, and it might be going in my front pocket.
Damn, the front pocket?
Michael Porter Jr. is in a post-game scrum, and this was so awkward, guys. This was so awkward. He's asked, he goes, hey, DeAndre told us that, Christian got the guys together for dinner last night. What did that mean and what was that like? He goes, Christian?
Is it Christian?
Christian did? He goes, really? And then he goes, across the locker room goes, Christian, you got the guys together for dinner last night? And you hear Christian like, yeah, and I paid for it or something like that. And he's like, and Porter like pulls his lips in almost like you would like make like a humming noise when you're like
okay,
tucking both lips in. He's like, okay. That means something to me.
Well, you have some people thinking like they were joking though, right? Some people are saying, hey, it was a joke. I don't like.
Did it feel like a joke to you?
No, it didn't
feel like a joke to me.
And why would DeAndre Jordan go out there and say it if it wasn't true? Because guys, like let's be real. Like when I would go on a road game, we would all get together. Everybody that you like, usually you got together and you went to dinner. Usually it was just like we kept it with the running back group, and it changed as it got going. We didn't do it as much, but usually you have dinner with the guys that you enjoy being with.
Yeah.
That you can trust,
sure.
that you're going to play with. And I thought that was interesting that CB did have a dinner, and if that is the case, you didn't ask MPJ to go, and a bunch of other teammates are going. Like, that's an issue.
Yeah, I think so. And if you think that was like a funny moment, you're seeing what you want to see. That was awkward. What does it mean? Don't know, but I'm just putting it in my pocket. All right?
Were you surprised that MPJ like kind of confronted him about it, right? Like he didn't hold back. Like once he was asked that question, he's like, "Well, Christian's right there. Let me ask him."
Not really, because in an NBA locker room there is a hierarchy, and Michael Porter Jr. is higher than Christian Brown. He just is. So it that part really didn't surprise me, but it was revealing. That was an interesting moment there last night. Josh Kroenke's now the acting GM.
I saw that too. He's ready to go.
Definitely different. I want to circle back to that, all right, here in just a second, okay? I want to talk about some of the stuff that was in the athletic report today from Tony Jones and Sam Emick. We talked about the Russell Westbrook portion of it in dedicated fashion in the first hour. There was just some interesting stuff that I think that I just found interesting. I want to talk about here. So in this story from The Athletic, they say league sources expect there to be discussions about a possible reunion with Tim Connelly. League sources say Connelly's right-hand man in Minnesota, general manager Matt Lloyd, is also expected to receive consideration for the Nuggets job as well, end quote. But I do think it's interesting that this is being put in a report, something that I suggested yesterday, that they need to think about reuniting with Tim. Everyone needs to swallow their pride and at least consider that option.
Well, why would you not? Tim Connelly was the biggest reason why we were able to win the championship. He's the biggest reason why we have Jokic in the building. Why would you not? If you have the opportunity to bring Tim Connelly back, you do it. You do it because now it's a familiar face in the building that both Jokic knows, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, everybody knows Tim Connelly. And Tim Connelly, like we talked about before, he just builds great connections, has great relationships with his players and coaching staff. So it would be the best pickup for the Denver Nuggets because he's been there and he's won here. He won a championship, the only championship the Denver Nuggets have. Bring him back if you can.
Yeah, and he is a cultural builder.
Yes.
And the Nuggets, and I can't believe this is true, and it makes me sad to even say, the Nuggets need a cultural reset. That is the last sentence I ever thought I'd be saying. Even from this point last year.
I might have to get some soap and put it in your mouth, man.
Like
a cultural reset.
It's what they need. I mean, you think about this sentence in this article, that the Malone versus Booth was a, quote, rift that caused so much organizational wreckage, end quote. Like, those are powerful words, but I think they're appropriate. They go on to say, quote, the Nuggets are, and this is sort of entering the sequence where Booth was up for a contract extension. Yeah. Quote, the Nuggets are widely known to pay front office executives below market value, something we talked about yesterday. And Booth, who was buoyed by the belief that the championship meant he deserved more, made a final push to increase the salary that would still have paled in comparisons to Malone's. But then came the on-court struggles. 6 weeks later, as the Nuggets hovered around 500 at 11-10, and the doubts about the team's direction grew internally, the extension that Booth believed was a mere formality was nowhere to be found. The Cronkies, league sources say, had pulled it. And just like that, with the February trade deadline looming and Booth's freedom to make moves declining more by the day, the uncertainty surrounding their situation was there to stay, end quote. I think that's interesting because we didn't know the exact timeline of when the extension was offered.
Yeah.
Booth is trying to advocate for himself with an ownership group that has been notoriously, through the years, historically lowballing executives. That's just what they do. It's closer to fact than opinion. It's just understood in NBA circles. That's what it is here in Denver. But when people were clamoring to make moves at the deadline, this sequence is significant to that. That they said, with the February trade deadline looming and Booth's freedom to make moves declining more by the day, it's one of these things where when we were sitting here saying, hey, they need to be active, this is Jokic's window, and they didn't do much of anything at all, that was the reason why. That the guy that would be making those moves had his extension pulled from him just a couple weeks prior and didn't have the power anymore to do much of anything.
And so his hands were tied pretty much as much as and I was mad at Calvin Booth. I really was. I was ready to come in here and talk back. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we not making moves like Chris McFarland was able to do with the Avalanche? Because look what that looks like now.
Right.
They're sitting pretty.
Right.
They have truly an opportunity to win the cup.
And look at what some of these other NBA teams that did. The Warriors changed their team at the deadline. They're now fierce in a way that they weren't 4 months ago. So, yeah, you're right. It was the opposite approach of the Avs and Chris McFarland, but not necessarily by Booth's choice. It was the ownership group like, you're no longer the guy here, Calvin. And because of that, we're not going to let you mortgage any of these assets.
Well, who would it have been? I don't believe it would have been Jamal Murray at that time. It would have to be MPJ that Calvin Booth was trying to move. And maybe that's when Kroenke was like, no, we're not letting you move MPJ.
Maybe.
So pretty much Calvin Booth just knew that he was done.
Yeah, at that point,
he knew he was done.
At that point, he probably knew. And they said that the extension that Booth believed was a mere formality was nowhere to be found. So it's like the writing's on the wall for Booth here, And so again, it's just a piece of new information in terms of the timeline that serves as an explanation why they weren't more active at the trade deadline. So again,
You know what I thought was interesting was Booth was pushing for more money and was trying to say about winning a championship. Where it's like, okay, but like Josh and them can come back and say, like, it wasn't you. It wasn't you who won the championship. I know that you are a part of it. You made a couple big-time moves to help us out. But I'm not going to give you more money for something you did not do, which will be understandable. But also for Calvin Booth, it's understandable because it's like, I was part of that.
Yeah.
I was a part of the reason why we did win. It wasn't just him. I was right there with him. I was his right-hand man.
Bruce Brown, KCP,
Yes.
Christian Brown. I do not believe you remove those three guys, you're not winning a championship. I don't believe that. So Booth definitely was a part of it, but the foundation was already set from Connelly. But it was interesting that you know, I think a part of it's so interesting how finances can create friction unto itself. So you have Malone, who for the longest time was one of the least paid coaches in the NBA, but they circled back and really rewarded him.
Yeah.
Malone was making $10 million a year. But you have Calvin Booth, who theoretically is higher up in the organization as a general manager, and the money that he was looking for was still going to pale in comparison to Malone. I would have to believe that from a human standpoint, that comes into play where you're at odds with someone, but you're kind of his boss, but he makes way more money than you. The coach makes, they say pale in comparison. I would just venture to say he was making less than half of what Malone was making.
Yeah.
And then you have that as an additional just factor in their sort of heat and beef together. I think that's again a big human factor.
Then that's shame on Calvin.
Sure.
Because like I remember, right? And I feel like Melvin's always coming up on this, but Melvin got the money, I didn't. And I remember sitting down and being like, I could be mad and upset with you, but you're not the reason why. Like, you're not the reason why you got paid all that money. Like, I would have done the same thing you did. You know, I could be mad at my boss who's paying to decide to pay you and not me. So why would Calvin Booth be upset with Michael Malone? That's not his problem. Take it up with Josh Kroenke, because Kroenke's the one signing these checks.
Right.
Kroenke's the one that's saying, hey, like, I don't believe that you deserve more money than Michael Malone because you were not the guy that truly won us the championship. Michael Malone, he's in the trenches. Tim Connelly, he built this team. And that's why we're going to give you the money that we give you, and either you take it or you don't.
Right.
Calvin Booth doesn't take it.
And that's how the
You're
Nuggets
out.
have operated.
Yep.
Of like Masai Ujiri. Like, this is what we're willing to pay you. Okay, so you don't want it? Okay, then leave. He goes to Toronto. Tim, this is what we're willing to pay you, Tim Connelly. Like, you want to go take their money? Go take their money. Bye. You leave. And it seems like this is going to be 3 GMs in a row. I have a question, and I just want to ask it. And actually, we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time here for me to ask it, but I want to circle back on a question relating to Josh Kroenke. And is there any blame to be had on his part for not being an ever-present owner the way that someone like Greg Penner is?
I like it.
And
I love it.
And I think that the question